Hey everyone! Welcome back to Unexplained Encounters channel. Today, we're venturing into the dark and eerie waters of the Cursed Bay. A spine-chilling tale that will make you think twice about what lurks beneath the waves. Join us as we uncover the haunting story of a couple's dream getaway, gone terribly wrong when they stumble upon a mysterious box tied to a vengeful sea witch. Whether you're relaxing, working, or just need a little thrill in your day, let this story of lost souls, ancient curses, and terrifying visions pull you into a nightmare at sea. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more bone-chilling tales. Now, turn down the lights and let's dive into the Cursed Bay. On the island of Virgin Gorda in the British Virgin Islands, there lies the ominous Devil's Bay, a place of jagged cliffs, treacherous currents, and countless disappearances. Locals avoid the bay, calling it cursed. Tales of ghost ships appearing on stormy nights are common. These ghostly vessels, filled with lost souls, drift silently through the fog, their mournful cries carried on the wind. Though some dismiss the stories as mere folklore, Devil's Bay holds a chilling reputation that even the brightest sunlight cannot dispel. Our story follows a young couple, Mark and Lisa, who come to Devil's Bay to escape the noise of city life. Mark, a thrill-seeking photographer, and Lisa, a lover of history and ancient relics, believe the bay's mysterious allure will offer them a peaceful getaway. But what starts as a simple vacation soon turns into a journey into the unknown. On the first day, the bay looks beautiful but eerie. The waves crash against jagged rocks, the sea shimmering under the sun. However, the air feels heavy, filled with a sense of unease that Lisa can't quite shake. It's as if invisible eyes are watching them, lurking behind every wave. Mark, eager to explore, suits up for a dive, hoping to capture the sea's secrets on camera. While underwater, Mark discovers a strange, half-buried metal box. The box, covered in barnacles and seaweed, appears ancient. Rusty and locked, it is etched with strange symbols and carvings, almost like a relic from another time. Mark is immediately intrigued. He carefully retrieves the box and swims back to shore, excited to show Lisa. "Lisa, you won't believe what I found down there," Mark exclaims, holding up the box triumphantly. Lisa takes it hesitantly, feeling a sudden chill run down her spine. The box is cold, almost unnaturally so, and the symbols seem to glimmer faintly under the sunlight, as if warning her of something ominous. "I don't think we should keep this," Lisa says, her voice tinged with unease. She can't explain why, but the box feels wrong, like it doesn't belong in their world. But Mark, driven by curiosity, brushes off her concerns. "It's probably some old shipwrecked treasure. We should check it out." Despite her misgivings, Lisa agrees to take the box back to their rented cottage, not knowing this decision would change everything. She turns to Mark, who is also tossing and turning in his sleep, his face twisted in distress. She wakes him, and he too seems shaken, with fresh, deep scratches on his arm that neither of them can explain. The next morning, Lisa finds wet sand and broken shells scattered across the cottage floor. The windows were shut tight, but it's as if the ocean had somehow invaded their space during the night. A pungent stench of brine and decay lingers in the air, and Mark's arm is marked by strange, unexplainable scratches that sting like burns. Lisa starts to feel a growing unease, convinced that the box is the source of their troubles. She urges Mark to get rid of it, but he refuses, drawn to the mystery it represents. Unbeknownst to them, the box's dark influence has already begun to take root, weaving its curse deeper into their lives. That night, Mark and Lisa place the box in the cottage's living room. The room, usually cozy and warm, feels oddly cold, as if the box itself is sucking the warmth out of the space. They try to pry it open with various tools, but the box is sealed tight, as if it's determined to guard its secrets. As the night deepens, the temperature drops even further, and a strange, damp smell fills the air, like rotting seaweed and salt. Lisa lies in bed, unable to sleep. She hears faint noises, a distant whisper that seems to echo from the box. It's almost like the sound of the ocean, but with a darker undertone, like a murmur from something that should never be heard. Finally, Lisa drifts off to sleep, only to be pulled into a vivid, terrifying nightmare. In her dream, Lisa stands on a decrepit ship, adrift in an endless black ocean. The ship creaks and groans, swaying violently under an invisible storm. She is surrounded by shadowy figures, ghostly remnants of sailors whose faces are obscured by mist, their hollow eyes staring blankly at her. Lisa feels a sudden, sharp pain in her chest. She looks down to see cold, wet hands emerging from the water, grabbing at her limbs, pulling her down. The whispers grow louder, filling her ears with dark, unintelligible words. She tries to scream, but the sea swallows her voice, and she wakes up gasping for air, drenched in sweat. She turns to Mark, who is also tossing and turning in his sleep, his face twisted in distress. She wakes him, and he too seems shaken, with fresh, deep scratches on his arm that neither of them can explain. The next morning, Lisa finds wet sand and broken shells scattered across the cottage floor. The windows were shut tight, but it's as if the ocean had somehow invaded their space during the night. A pungent stench of brine and decay lingers in the air, and Mark's arm is marked by strange, unexplainable scratches that sting like burns. Lisa starts to feel a growing unease, convinced that the box is the source of their troubles. She urges Mark to get rid of it, but he refuses, drawn to the mystery it represents. Unbeknownst to them, the box's dark influence has already begun to take root, weaving its curse deeper into their lives. The eerie occurrences become more frequent, as if the box is gaining strength. Every night, Lisa and Mark's dreams are filled with the same terrifying imagery: storms, drowning, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Lisa's anxiety intensifies as she begins to see strange, dark mist swirling around the box, almost like it has a life of its own. She feels that whatever is inside the box is not just a cursed object, but something with a consciousness, something malevolent. Mark's behavior starts to change too. He becomes increasingly obsessed with the box, often spending hours just staring at it. Lisa catches him whispering to it late at night, speaking in low tones as if in conversation with someone or something. Mark's once bright and energetic demeanor fades. His eyes grow distant, and he seems trapped in a trance-like state, disconnected from reality. Lisa watches helplessly as Mark's fascination with the box turns into a dangerous obsession. One evening, Lisa finally decides she's had enough. She grabs the box, determined to throw it back into the sea. As soon as her fingers touch the cold metal, a low humming sound emits from the box, a sound that vibrates through her bones, making her fingers tingle painfully. Lisa's grip loosens, and the box slips from her hands, landing on the floor with a heavy thud. Blood trickles from a small cut on her palm where the box's sharp edge had scraped her. To her horror, the box seems to absorb the blood, the symbols on its surface glowing faintly red for a moment before fading back into the rust. Terrified, Lisa stumbles backward, unable to comprehend what she's just seen. She locks herself in the bedroom, but the whispers and the sense of dread only grow stronger. She dreams of drowning, of being pulled into an abyss by shadowy figures whose faces she can't quite see. The feeling of cold, grasping hands never leaves her, even when she's awake. Mark, now fully consumed by the box's influence, refuses to acknowledge the danger. He dismisses Lisa's fears as paranoia, blinded by his own obsession. One night, Lisa wakes up to find Mark standing in the living room, his eyes fixed on the box. He doesn't blink. He doesn't move. His lips twitch as if he's muttering something under his breath. Lisa listens closely and realizes Mark is repeating the same phrase over and over. "I have to open it. I have to know." The sight of Mark like this shatters Lisa's last shred of resolve. She feels trapped, not just by the box but by the creeping darkness it's brought into their lives. She knows they need help and fast. Desperate and terrified, Lisa and Mark visit Harold, an elderly antique dealer in the town. Harold's shop is a dark, damp place filled with relics from shipwrecks, artifacts covered in rust and decay. The air is thick with the smell of old, damp wood and salt. Harold, a frail old man with eyes that seem to have seen too many tragedies, listens as Lisa and Mark recount the strange events surrounding the box. As soon as Harold sees the box, his face pales. His hands tremble as he touches the symbols etched into its surface. "This is no ordinary antique," Harold says gravely. "It's a cursed object, a vessel for something far more sinister." He explains that the box likely came from a 17th century shipwreck known as the Black Sea Witch, a vessel that went down in a violent storm, carrying with it a supposed witch who had been accused of terrible crimes. Before her death, the witch was said to have cursed the ship and its contents, vowing that anyone who disturbed her treasures would suffer eternal torment. "The whispers, the dreams, they're not just figments of your imagination," Harold continues, his voice shaking. "The witch's spirit is still bound to this box, and it's trying to reach you. If you don't return it to the sea, the curse will continue to consume you." Lisa's fear deepens as Harold speaks. This is no longer a series of nightmares or hallucinations. It's a real and dangerous curse. Harold advises them to perform an ancient cleansing ritual under the next full moon, returning the box to the ocean in an attempt to break the witch's hold. The night of the full moon arrives, casting an eerie silver light over Devil's Bay. The sea is restless, its waves crashing violently against the cliffs, as if anticipating the return of something long lost. Lisa and Mark stand at the edge of the bay, the cursed box clutched tightly in Lisa's trembling hands. The cold sea breeze bites at their skin, carrying with it faint whispers that seem to call from the depths. Harold has prepared a ritual circle on the ground, marked with ancient symbols and surrounded by candles that flicker in the wind. He carefully places herbs and salts around the perimeter, their pungent scents mingling with the salty sea air. "Remember," Harold warns, his voice firm but wary, "you must focus on letting go. This ritual is meant to break the connection, but you have to believe it." Lisa closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She sets the box in the center of the circle, and Harold begins chanting in a low, rhythmic tone. His words are ancient and unintelligible, echoing with a power that seems to resonate through the air. The flames of the candles dance wildly, almost as if responding to the incantation. As the ritual continues, the sea grows louder, the waves rising higher and crashing closer to the circle. The wind picks up, howling like a chorus of mournful voices. Lisa watches in horror as a dark mist begins to seep out from the box, swirling around the circle like a snake. The mist coalesces into the shadowy figure of a woman, a ghostly, ethereal form with eyes that seem to burn with rage and sorrow. It's the witch, the same figure Lisa has seen in her dreams. Lisa's heart pounds in her chest as the ghostly figure points directly at her, mouthing silent words that Lisa cannot hear but somehow understands. "You took what's mine. You will pay." The figure lunges toward Lisa, and she feels a sudden, bone-chilling cold wash over her, as if she's being dragged underwater. Harold's voice rises, shouting the final words of the chant, and with a blinding flash, the box snaps shut. The mist is sucked back inside, and the figure vanishes. Breathing heavily, Lisa collapses to the ground, her body shaking from the shock. Harold kicks the box toward the edge of the cliff, and with a final push, it tumbles into the sea, swallowed instantly by the waves. The water roars, and then, just as suddenly, it goes silent. The candles flicker one last time before being snuffed out by the wind, leaving the three of them in darkness. Even after the ritual, Lisa and Mark's lives do not return to normal. The next day, the cottage feels just as cold and damp as before. At night, Lisa hears the faint sound of crying, a mournful wail that echoes through the walls. Mark wakes up with fresh scratches on his arms and legs, deep and red, like claw marks left by an unseen predator. Their once safe haven is now a place of constant dread. Lisa's mental state deteriorates rapidly. She sees the ghostly figure of the witch everywhere, on the beach, in the mirror, even in her dreams. The witch's voice haunts her, whispering threats and curses, reminding her that the ritual was not enough. Mark, still entranced by the box's dark power, refuses to leave the cottage. He insists that the witch's curse is just a figment of Lisa's imagination, but deep down, he too feels the pull of the darkness. One night, Lisa hears Mark talking in his sleep. She leans closer, trying to make out the words, but they are in a language she doesn't understand. Harsh and guttural, like a chant from another world. As she listens, Mark suddenly sits up, his eyes wide open but unseeing. He reaches out, his fingers twitching as if grasping for something invisible. "She wants us back," he mutters. "She wants her box." The terror reaches its climax when Lisa wakes up one night to find herself standing on the cliff's edge, the cold wind whipping through her hair. She doesn't remember how she got there, but she feels an overwhelming urge to step forward, to plunge into the dark waters below. Mark is nowhere in sight. All she hears is the witch's voice, urging her closer to the edge. "Join us," it whispers. "Come back to the sea." Lisa snaps out of the trance just in time, backing away from the cliff with a scream. She runs back to the cottage, only to find Mark standing by the window, staring blankly at the ocean. He doesn't react as she shakes him, his eyes glazed over as if lost in a nightmare. Unable to endure any longer, Lisa makes a desperate decision. She runs to the beach, hoping to find some way to end the curse once and for all. But as she searches, she spots something half buried in the sand. The box, rusted and battered, but unmistakably the same. Lisa falls to her knees, overwhelmed by a sense of doom. She hears the witch's laughter in the wind, mocking her futile attempts to escape. With trembling hands, Lisa picks up the box. She can't resist the pull anymore. She wades into the water, the icy waves crashing against her legs. She feels the cold hands again grabbing her, pulling her under. The water swallows her screams, and the box sinks with her, lost once more to the depths. Back in the cottage, Mark remains at the window, watching as the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon. But he doesn't see the sunrise. All he sees is darkness. All he hears is the relentless whisper of the sea. Lisa and Mark were never seen again after that night. As time passed, they became just another tragic story linked to the haunted shores of Devil's Bay, a place where the sea keeps its secrets and never lets go of what it claims. Occasionally, locals report seeing a shadowy figure wandering the beach at night, holding a rusted box close to her chest. The whispers continue, carried on the wind, as if the bay itself is alive with the spirits of those it has taken. Months later, a newlywed couple rented the same cottage, hoping for a romantic getaway. At first, they enjoyed the serene beauty of the beach, unaware of its dark history. But soon the whispers began again. The cries of the witch echoed through the walls, and the nightmares returned. They found the box washed ashore one morning, glistening with seaweed and rust. Curiosity drove them to take it inside, unaware that they had just invited the curse into their lives. Devil's Bay remains cursed, its dark history forever intertwined with those who dare to disturb its peace. The box, the witch, and the sea, all bound together in an endless cycle of torment. Some mysteries are better left buried, and some treasures come with a price too heavy to bear. Thank you for watching. The next time you find something washed ashore, think twice before taking it home, because not everything belongs to the living. Beware of what lurks beneath the surface, and remember, curiosity can be more dangerous than you think. Stay safe and never forget the stories of the sea. They are written in salt and sorrow. Until next time, sleep tight, if you can.